Speaking with your children about grief. As adults, we should learn how to talk about grief, death, and other losses because our children look to us and seek our example in how to navigate these difficult life-changing events. The goal of this presentation is to help you learn more about grief and to help you and your children learn how to process and navigate grief. Grief is a normal healing process, but it is also a unique experience because we all experience grief differently. We can see changes in behavior on a spiritual, physical, mental, psychological, and emotional level. Here we see some examples of common grief reactions. Physical changes may be changes in appetite or sleep, crying, low energy, restlessness, or difficulty concentrating. Emotional changes can be loneliness, resentment, lack of control over emotions, and even outbursts of crying and anger. Mental changes can be confusion, forgetfulness, wishing to die or join the deceased, and dreams of the deceased. Spiritual changes can be anger with God or one's faith, drastic changes in priorities, for example, things that were important before the death no longer have meaning. 68% of grieving teens say that losing a family member was the worst thing that ever happened to them. In addition, 41% admitted to having acted in a way that harmed them physically or mentally. It is absolutely necessary to pay attention to your teen, even if he or she seems to be fine. Children between 6 to 12 years of age understand that death is final and universal. They may experience a lot of complex feelings that they don't understand, and some children do not want to go to school and isolate themselves from their friends. Teens between 13 to 19 years of age know what death is, but they still don't know how to cope with the difficult feelings that death brings. They might act impulsively, which can include alcohol use, drugs, fighting at school, and sexual promiscuity. Trauma accumulates. The loss of a loved one can magnify the symptoms of past trauma. If your child has experienced past trauma such as domestic violence, sexual violence, the grief from the loss can cause complications in your child's mental health. How do I talk to my teen child about loss and grief? Modeling desired behavior is the best way to teach our children. Teach your child to be present in their body and feel their emotions. Be open with your teen about how you feel so that through you, they learn that talking about their emotions is a healthy way to cope. Although it is absolutely okay for parents to grieve in their own unique way, it is still the adult's responsibility to take care of the child while also practicing self-care for themselves. Remember, if the teen sees their parents struggling, the teen may feel worried, which can lead to the pressure of stepping up to fill the shoes or role of the adult. Honor your child's right to grieve in their own way. Remember that all feelings and thoughts are welcome, especially negative ones. A grieving teenager has the right to know the truth about death, the deceased, and circumstances, to have questions answered honestly, to be heard with dignity and respect, to have privacy and not talk about their grief, emotions, or thoughts. To be angry at death, at the person who died, at God, at themselves and others, to take the time they need to process the death, to have his or her own theological and philosophical beliefs about life and death, even if they are different from their parents. It's important that you remember not to direct them through the grieving process. Instead, walk through it with them, hand in hand, side by side. Let them know you are there to listen if they need to talk. But do not pressure them to talk if they do not want to. Being a companion is more effective than directing because it lets the teen know that it is okay to feel the way they are feeling. It also allows them to take their time with grieving. Crying is normal and helps relieve pain. Don't hide your pain if you don't want your children to hide theirs too. It is important to be intentional about grieving and not suppressing grief. Seeking help from a therapist can help to process emotions. Also, doing activities together as a family, such as writing a letter to the person who died or talking about the deceased often. Another activity you can do is plan how to use self-care to help you get through the most difficult days. Today we will share with you 2 activities that can help you and your children. The pain of grief comes in waves. When in doubt, listen. Often more effective than the right words, listening communicates acceptance and genuine caring to a grieving person. Trust that listening is a gift because it allows a grieving person to heal with time and live another day.